Ho 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 ho. Really? I'm not doing this, it's stupid. Welcome to this festive edition of the Sport Walk Show. Coming up, we're looking at how to handle cold weather walking so you don't overheat. We've got a few ideas to help keep you active during a hectic Christmas and New Year schedule, and we've got an exclusive chat with Decathlon's Newfeel product manager, Erik Pflieger. But before we get onto any of that, I just want to say a personal thank you for the response we've had to the first show. Some of you have gone above and beyond in your appreciation, and we really do value every single comment we receive. It means an awful lot, and it gives us even greater resolve to make this show as good as it can be. It's easy to think that when winter hits, your big problem is going to be staying warm, when in reality it's more likely to be the complete opposite. You're wearing extra clothes and the cold air tricks you into dressing more warmly than you really need to, so you'll more than likely be struggling not to overheat. The key, of course, as you probably already know, is layering, but this in itself is a bit of a dark art, and if you don't get the layers exactly right, you can be back to square one. So let's take a look at a few simple principles to help you stay more comfortable this winter. The first key to successful layering is to be a sandwich, not a trifle. Let me explain. If you're a trifle, then you're probably layering up from the bottom until you feel comfortable. But while you may feel okay when you step out the door, chances are you've put on too much. So after a few hundred meters, you get too hot and have to derobe. But when you're a sandwich, you always have two key layers as your starting point, your base layer and your shell layer. And then it's simply a question of adding the right filling for the temperature outside. Okay, so let's start with the most important layer, which is the one next to your skin. Having a good base layer is vital, so getting a good quality top that will really perform is a great investment. But for winter walking, you do need to be a bit careful. You might think that having a really warm base layer is a good idea given the cold temperatures outside, but this isn't where you want to be doing your thermal insulation, unless of course you're going somewhere really, really cold. You do want a bit of warmth with your base layer, but the most important element is its sweat wicking performance, so that you're getting the sweat away from the skin as effectively as possible. And it's not a bad idea to have a couple of different options if you can, so that you might have a slightly warmer one if it's really icy outside, or a thin one if it's just a bit cold. Now you might be thinking that you don't need to worry about sweating in the winter, but you'd be wrong. If you've got your clothing and layering right, you should continue to sweat in exactly the same way as in the summer, because all you're doing is compensating for the lower temperatures with your clothes. But if you dress to stay warm, you'll be sweating more because you'll be getting too hot. Next up, it's the other slice of bread in your sandwich, the shell layer. Now, the shell layer's main job is to keep the wind out and the warmth in, thus preserving your desired temperature. But of course, you also want it to keep the rain off as well, because there's not a lot of point taking two different jackets for two different purposes. It's quite striking when you add a super light shell just how much difference it makes to your sense of warmth, simply by keeping the wind chill off of your core. Sometimes, if the weather's good and the temperature isn't that bad, I'll substitute a full shell layer for a super light gilet, as this helps protect my core from the wind chill, which is the most important part, but leaves my arms exposed, which helps with temperature regulation. Right then, let's look at the key area of variability, your sandwich filling. Over my base layer, I'd always wear a normal walking t-shirt or jersey. It doesn't really add anything in terms of weight or temperature, it's more of a starting point. So if I should find myself out there on one of those really wonderful sunny winter days and I'm working hard, I can just go like that, taking other layering options in my vest. The next layer is the one that has the most variability to it, and that's your fleecy mid layer. I'd always start with a thin waffle type fleece and then just change to a thicker traditional type fleece if the temperatures drop down to the low single figures and there's a wind chill. I find that in the majority of cases when out sport walking in the winter, this level of insulation is enough, because of the warming effect of the effort I'm putting in, combined with the shell layer holding in all that warmth. The other great thing about these waffle type fleeces is that they have a really small pack size, and they have the fluffy stuff on the inside and a smoother outside, so it's easier to slip your shell on over the top of it. If it's a milder winter day and I'm working quite hard, I'll often just wear my base, jersey and a shell, or even a gilet. The absolute minimum is that you protect your core, and then it's just a question of adapting your clothes to fit the specific conditions. If you take this approach and be more of a sandwich than a trifle, then you'll really start to master temperature regulation in the winter. On my lower half, I'll always stick with summer trousers, but I'll go for thicker trekking style pants rather than my super lightweight trousers. I'd avoid wearing insulated trousers though, even if the initial temperature outside is very, very cold, because they are actually extremely effective, and in no time at all you'll have sweaty legs. The other important thing to add, and you should consider this to be a base layer so it always stays on, is a buff or a skull cap. If you remove your shell or take off your fleece, this head protection will make sure you stay safe and comfortable. While you're walking, you'll find that you can easily regulate your temperature by opening or closing the zip on your shell. But I'll be a little bit wary of taking it off completely, because it's very easy to top out on a summit or turn a corner and find yourself into a headwind, and then all of a sudden the wind chill will really start to take effect. Finally, the other vitally important thing to do in the winter is to continue drinking enough electrolytes when you walk. It's very easy to think that because it's not hot outside that you don't need to drink. But of course, as we've said before, the goal is to regulate your temperature so it's pretty much the same as it would be in the summer. In fact, even when you've tuned your apparel to fit the conditions perfectly, you'll still probably sweat a little bit more because you won't have that summer breeze cooling you down. Your shell will be protecting you, so you'll most likely reach a temperature similar to that on a hot, dry, windless day. So it is very easy to become dehydrated in winter, which is going to hamper your performance, or at the very least, spoil how you feel when you're out walking. If you just continue to drink as you would during a summer challenge, you'll stay in good shape and will be able to do well during your winter training. So there you go, simple ways to regulate your temperature and keep you in good shape on your winter walks. So all you need to do then is go out and enjoy them. Last month we set out the basics of a winter training plan and gave you some structure to work to. Now we're not going to change anything for this month, it's still just about getting out there and walking and also doing some strength work so that you get stronger. But we are going to add in pace and mileage targets, as well as a new core strength move to give you some variety. So for the next month you'll continue with the number of sessions you currently do, but you'll now have a fixed weekly distance target to complete. As before, you need to walk at least 15 kilometers in your weekend session so that you're getting at least one long walk a week. But overall, you should now aim to complete a minimum of 35 kilometers a week in total. This will then allow us to easily increase distances as we go along. We also want you now to start walking to a minimum pace. And this is to get you used to monitoring your pace, both to achieve new targets in your training and also so that we can gradually increase your pace in the same way as distance. So for this next month, you need to walk at a minimum of 11 minutes per kilometre. The easiest way to monitor your pace is with a watch or app like Strava, but if you're really keen on maths, you can work it out with a pencil and paper if you prefer. What matters is starting now to monitor your pace and distance, and to keep a record of what you've done and the pace that you've achieved so you can start to track your progress. Lastly for this month, add this core strength move to your exercise options and switch between this and the plank to give you some variety. Lie on the floor with your legs slightly bent, feet on the ground without any bracing and your hands by your side. Slowly and with good control, lift your head up and then roll your torso forwards and up, so that your back curves as you go until you reach a position with your back roughly at 45 degrees. Keep your arms straight and hands by your side for stability. Hold this for a few seconds, then lower yourself slowly back down again. Your feet should remain on the ground the whole time. Do up to 10 reps, but initially just do as many as you can, as you might find this quite a testing move. As you get stronger, add in this arm movement to the top section before you lower back down again. If you're on Instagram, chances are you've come across Erik Pflieger. He's the product manager for Newfeel, which is Decathlon's walking brand. Erik is as passionate about developing walking for sport and fitness as we are, so it was great to be able to catch up with him earlier and find out why it is that walking works for him. Well, it's really good to talk to you, Erik. I've got so many questions I want to ask you, but let's start, I guess, at the beginning. Just give me a little insight into what your background is in sport generally. You know, have you always been a sporty person?
As far as I remember, I always practiced sport at school, also with my parents, because I live close to Paris, in the south of Paris, which is a region and an area with a lot of forest and hill that give me the opportunity to walk a lot. And I clearly remember that I always do a lot of bicycle as well. So walking and bicycle was kind of a way of transportation for me. And beside that, I was also a basketball player. That was my sport during all my childhood and when I was adult as well.
When I see your pictures on Instagram, I tend now to think of you as a race walker, but how would you class yourself? What type of walker are you?
I would say I'm a power walker, but in fact I practice a lot of walking practices. I lived in Germany, and in Germany Nordic walking is well practiced by a lot of people. But Nordic walking wasn't enough for me, wasn't pushy enough. And when I enter Decathlon, I decide and I have the opportunity to discover a new sport, which is sport walking. And step by step, I switch from sport walking to power walking and then to race walking. So now I can say I practice all kind of walking practices, from Nordic walking to race walking.
And I guess that must really help in your work. So tell me a little bit about your work with Decathlon.
Actually, I'm product manager for Newfeel, which is a walking sport brand. And as a product manager, my job is to first listen to the users, to the walkers, and develop the best product and best services to give them the best way of practice.
So how long has Newfeel been around then as a dedicated walking brand?
Newfeel is a quite new brand, something like 11 years old, and we really focused on walking sports 6 years ago, with Nordic walking first, because this sport was not covered by the other sport brand and was quite developed. And then we also decide to focus more on sport walking and race walking. So race walking product started in 2017 and sport walking product in 2016. Nordic walking was just before.
Let's talk about challenges. I'm really interested to hear some of your experiences of taking on sport walking challenges.
I clearly remember my first one. It was 3 years ago. My first 100k. It was just amazing. And to go till that point, I first did 50k, 30k, and 6 hours competitions to be able to reach this 100 kilometer competition, because this one was quite hard, was during the night as well, was mentally really hard to face, but I managed it thanks to the first competition I did. So shortest distance and a lot of training to be able to cover this 100k. I will always remember the finish line of this competition. It was just heaven.
I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that can relate to that. I certainly can. Getting across the line at your first 100k is really, really special, isn't it? So what about next year? Have you got anything planned for next year? I mean, it's been a bit of a crazy time this year and hard to do anything. So what about 2021?
Regarding 2021, because 2020 was a bad year to make some competition, and in 2021 I will do another 100k with a group of people. We will be 4 to do that together, to share this moment together during the Oxfam Trail Walker, which is not only a sport competition but also a charity program. It will be in France, and I can't wait to be at this competition. But my main target will be in September 2021, and that will be 24 hours of walking with a higher speed, and my target this time will be to cover 150 kilometers during 24 hours. So it will be, I hope it will be a good year in 2021.
I will certainly echo that sentiment, Erik, and I really hope everything goes well with your training, because having a target like that, having a goal like that is superb, and I know from personal experience that kind of distance, it's going to be really tough. So all the best, good luck with it. Erik's enthusiasm for all walking disciplines is infectious, and there was a whole lot more to that interview than we were able to fit in, so we'll be hearing from him again in the future. This time of year can be a challenge for anyone who does sport, and it's no different for us sport walkers. But in some respects we have an advantage, because the thing we like to do is also the thing that most people like to do as an activity over Christmas and the New Year. So we can at least keep walking even if it's not training. So here's our top survival tactics, so that you don't fall completely off the wagon and can get back up to speed as soon as you finish the eggnog. It sounds obvious, but it's amazing how easy it is to become dehydrated at Christmas. So keep that glass of water by your side at all times. Don't worry about planning in training walks or getting in some serious exercise. Just do something and be physically active in some way every day. Family walks are great, and you can use the opportunity to try and inject a little more pace in others to inspire them to move faster for their own health benefits. This is a great time to think about your summer challenges. So start making plans, researching routes or events, and try to build a wish list of what you'd like to do. Christmas and New Year is as much about reflecting on what's been as it is about what's coming, and this is a great time to look back at your achievements this year, which is a real shot in the arm. Never underestimate the motivational power of buying new kit, but also this is a great time to give a little TLC to your existing gear, perhaps cleaning your shoes or just getting things ready to start training again in the new year. There are so many great trail and ultra running videos on YouTube, and all of them will inspire you to have bigger dreams and take on bolder challenges. You might think that watching walking or hiking videos would be more appropriate, but the ultra running scene is a lot closer to sport walking than just hiking, and you'll feel much more inspired. Look out for videos about Western States, Hard Rock, UTMB, Marathon des Sables and the Barkley Marathons in particular, or just search ultra running and immerse yourself in trail heaven. Last but not least, try and mix things up a bit. So, if you've got a bike, go for a bike ride. If you've got a kayak, go out on the water or use a SUP. Take the opportunity to do something different and benefit from a motivational boost. Okay, finally we have this month's challenge, and it's a perfect one for this time of year. It's a super sprint hill climb. Climbing a hill is a popular Christmas or New Year's pastime, especially if the weather's bright and clear. So your challenge is to pick a hill that means something to you, or one that you've yet to climb, and get up it as fast as you can manage. Hill work is a really valuable part of sport walk training, and these super sprints are a great way to do the work while distracting you by having a mini challenge. This is an elapsed time test, so if you do want or need to stop and look at the view or have a rest on the way up, the clock keeps running. No pausing your watch for a sneaky breather, you're looking to see how quickly you can get from the base to the summit. Start at the lowest point you can, probably at the car park or road access, and time your ascent to the top, where you can pause your watch if you want to enjoy the summit. Then, when you're ready, restart your watch or app for the descent and go as fast as you safely can back down again. Take a look at our free speed video for some top tips on demon descending that'll make you feel as proud as getting to the top in a super quick time. As always, track your challenge and post it on Strava. You can also share it on social media using the hashtag SportWalkChallenge. And don't forget to mention us or tag us in your post so that we can give you kudos and a big pat on the back. So there you go. A bit of a short show this time, but let's face it, Christmas and New Year, it's a bit of a busy period, isn't it, for everyone? Now, there won't be a show in January because we're going to be releasing some other content, but we will be back in February with a whole lot of stuff ready to gear you up for the spring. If you're watching this on release, I hope you had a really nice Christmas, and here's also hoping that we all have a better and brighter 2021. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Now, your shell layer's main job is to keep the warmth out. Keep the warmth out. Then, when you're ready to restart your watch or app, the pencil and paper. Why do I write these things that are difficult to say? So we can give you kudos and a pig pat.